Ohai. Gomel, the city in Belarus, the administrative center of the Gomel region and the Gomel district, the second most populated. People for January 1, 2020. The city in the country. It is located in the southeast of the republic on the Sos River in 302 km on the southeast from Minsk, in 534 km to the east from Brest, in 171 km to the south from Mogilev, in 237 km to the west from Bryansk, in 111 km to the north from Chernihiv, in 567 km on the southwest from Moscow. Gomel is located in a northern part of Dnieper lowland. According to physiographic division into districts, the most part of a residential suburb and the city within a northeast part of the physiographic area, the Gomel Policia, a component of a podprovincial of the Belarusian Policia. From the northwest, the physiographic area, the Chechesky Plain belonging to the Prepolicia province, close approaches the city. Gomel is located within a southwest slope of the Voronezh Antaklisa, the raised tectonic structure as a part of the Russian plate of the East European platform. The crystal base lies at a depth of 550 meters below sea level. A platform cover. Power of 700 am. Air is put by deposits Paleozoic. Power of 120 am, Shrednodovansky clays, sandstones, marl and dolomite. Mesozoic. 420 am, sandy argillaceous formations of the Triassic, clays, sands and limestones of the Jurassic period, Megalno-Cretaceous and sandy argillaceous deposits of the Cretaceous. And Cainozoic. 50 am, Plakonitovo quartz sands of the Paleogene. Sands and sandy loams with gravel and pebble material of an Anthropogene. The territory in which there is Gomel after formation of a crystal cover in the Archean, the early Proterozoic till the Middle Devonian remained the land. On average, Devonshire was flooded and further was repeatedly drained and again flooded by sea. In late Devon the volcanic activity is noted. The Quaternary period was characterized by offensive at the territory of Belarus of several glaciers from which Gomel was reached by ices of Berezinski and Dnieper freezing. In Alexandria, Shklovsky, etc. The valley of the Sos River was formed. Meltwater of the Sos freezing, which is considered as a stage of Dnieper, laid the material which created the extensive sandy woody plain, Policia. In the territory of the city of Gomel large stocks fresh hydrocarbonate. In thicknesses of the Cenozoic and Cretaceous. And the mineralized sulfate chloride sodium waters are found. In thicknesses of Devon and the Triassic. The last are got and used as medical. On the southwest outskirts of Gomel the Osovtsovsky field of sands is located. City relief in general flat. He is presented by the Pologovonesty water and glacial plain and a Natpomeni terrace of Sos in a right bank part and a low alluvial plain and a left bank part. A relief bias from the north on the south. The highest mark of 144 m above sea level is on the northern outskirts of Gomel. The lowest 115 m, Sos River waters. The Vobereny Novobolitsky district has marks of heights on average 10-15 m lower than northern and central parts. In the floodplain on the left coast of Sos many kilometers beaches are located. Climate of Gomel moderately continental. The warm summer and soft winter is characteristic that is caused by a frequent prenos of warm sea air masses from Atlantic dominating western transfer. Annual total radiation makes 3980 mEd/m. 95.1 kcal/cs. That is about 5% more than in Minsk. Average annual air temperature in Gomel plus 7.4 C. An absolute minimum of January 35.0 C. On January 31, 1970. Absolute maximum of plus 9.6 C. On January 11, 2007. Month with the most high average temperature, July, 2010. Plus 24.5 C. Month with the lowest average temperature, February, 1929. Minus 17.1 C. During the winter it is noted 240 thaw days when in the afternoon air temperatures the above 0 C rises, and about 30 days with an average daily temperature is lower. 10 C. Average temperature of July is plus 19.9 C. Absolute maximum of plus 38.9 C. On August 8, 2010. Absolute minimum of plus 6.0 C. On July 18, 1978. During the summer over 30 hot days with an average daily temperature above plus 20 C are celebrated. The vegetative period proceeds on average 205 days from April 3 to October 26. When air temperature over plus 5 C. The average annual size of atmospheric pressure at the level of the station. 125 m above sea level. 1001.5 GG. 751 of a mercury column. Annual amplitude about 6 GG. 4.5 of a mercury column. The most high pressure observed in Gomel, 1037 of a GG. 778 of a mercury column, February, 1972. The lowest minus 960 GG. 720 of a mercury column, February, 1946. In the winter winds of the southern direction, in the summer, western and northwest prevail. Average annual speed is 2.5 m/s, winter of 2.8, 2.9 m/s, summer of 2.1, 2.2 m/s. Strong winds when speed increases to 15 m/s, are observed on average 1-2 times a month, destructive winds with a speed over 25 m/s minus 1 time in 20 years. The annual sum of rainfall averages 626 m. About 70% of rainfall drop out during the warm period from April to October. The average in a year time of loss of rainfall makes 1200 hours, the average number of days with rainfall 200, with snow cover minus 85. Steady bedding of snow cover from December 20 to March 15. Height on average up to 10 cs of 62% of the annual sum of rainfall drops out in the liquid state, 28% in firm, 10% in mixed. The greatest monthly amount of precipitation minus 236 m. July, 2000. The smallest monthly amount of precipitation minus 2 m. November, 2014. Relative humidity during the cold period over 80%. In the afternoon during the warm period it decreases up to 50–60%. In Gomel on average 143 cloudy and 31 clear days in a year. Other days semi-clear. The average annual duration of sunshine -1855 hours. The average number of days with blizzards in a year 6, maximum 54, with fogs 43 and 79, thunderstorms 25 and 54, with the hail 2 and 5. In a year there are 5 days to ice and 5 days to hoarfrost. Surface water is presented by the rivers, lakes, ponds. Through the city the navigable Soz River, one of the largest rivers of Belarus, flows. Within the city the river Put flows into her. In a residential suburb of Gomel the rivers Ta, As and Teryuk flow into Soz. In the floodplain of Soz within city line several Sterichny lakes are located. Lyubinsko, Volotovskoye and others. In a northern part of the city the ponds formed in pits on extraction of construction raw materials are numerous. They are actively used by citizens as vacation spots. In the Gomel Park there is the oldest in Gomel, the Swan Pond, built on the place of the stream proceeding and falling into Soz Gomik, from whose name according to one of versions and there was a name of the city. The natural soil cover of Gomel is considerably transformed. Natural soils are replaced with herbaceous with the mixed horizons, maternal breeds, crushed stone, sand, etc. In squares, parks and on beds the soil cover is cultivated. From rather undisturbed soils which are found within the city and its vicinities the boggy soils, cesspitous and pod-solid places developing on water and glacial sand-dusty liasovidny sandy loams prevail. Cesspitous and carbonate, alluvial and peat and marsh soils meet. The prevailing tree species in forests, parks, squares and streets are a pine ordinary, a fir tree European, an oak Cherish chati, a maple and acutifoliate, horse chestnut ordinary, an ash tree ordinary, a linden fine-leaved, a poplar black, white and shivering. Aspen. A mountain ash ordinary, willows. Such types as an oak red, a fir tree prickly, Engelmann's fir tree, a larch European, a robinia, a pseudoacacia, Schrank's fir tree, a fir balsam, etc. are introduced. In the Central Park there are a ginkgo, a pit tree and other exotic types. Spontaneous city vegetation is presented mainly by communities of the classes Plantagenetia majoris, Robinetia and Artemisiatia vulgaris. Inundated meadows belong to the class Molinia or Henotheritia. In Gomel and its vicinity 66 species of mammals, 188 bird species, 6 species of reptiles, 11 species of amphibia, about 25 species of fish are noted. On the outskirts of the city a hedgehog European Duro, a boar are frequent. In parks and forest plantations squirrels, hares, moles are frequent. From birds the house sparrow, a daw, a crow, pigeons, titmouses are ordinary. In a residential suburb it is possible to meet storks. It is necessary to carry radioactive infection, air pollution to the main environmental problems of Gomel, soils and waters with chemical elements, insufficient gardening of the territory. Environmental problems are caused, mainly, by position of Gomel as large industrial center. Gomel is in an infection zone. On cesium -137. From 1 to 5 Cu/km. An accommodation zone with periodic radiation control. In 20 km to the southwest from the city, the zone of resettlement and alienation begins. The index of air pollution in Gomel is raised and makes 5.0. The third place in Belarus after Mogil and Grodno. The main pollutants are formaldehyde, fluoric hydrogen, phenol, ammonia, carbon oxide. The main sources of pollution are motor transport, the forest industry, production of mineral fertilizers. The Gomel chemical plant. Power system. The Gomel CHEP-1, the Gomel CHEP-2, etc. Growth of an average for a year of content of carbon oxide is observed that is explained by increase in intensity of car traffic. Average concentration of other harmful substances decrease. Atmospheric air in the western part of the city, in a zone of influence of the Gomel chemical plant, CHEP-2, Zlin, the plants of building materials, the trade equipment and concrete goods, and also in the center near the railway station where the transport load is high is most polluted. The south of the right bank part and the Novobolitsky area are least polluted. The location of the Gomel chemical plant and CHEP-2 on the western outskirts of the city in the conditions of the dominating western transfer considerably aggravates an air pollution problem. Besides, the acute environmental problem is existence of the ground of toxic waste of the chemical plant located at city line. Accumulation of a phosphite. Withdrawal of production of phosphatic fertilizers. Was so far about 15-20 million tons. The phosphite possesses an unpleasant smell, is carried by wind on considerable distances, intensively pollutes underground waters and leads to degradation of adjacent forest biogeoses. Dilution of waters of the Sols River at Gomel is characterized as moderated. Is equals 1.11. Average annual concentration of nitrogen ammonium makes about 5 maximum allowable concentrations, phenols, iron and zinc about 2 maximum allowable concentrations, organic matter, nitrogen nitrate, phosphates, copper, nickel, oil products, having fallen down, doesn't exceed PDD. Extent of gardening in Gomel makes 19.5%, that is significantly lower than town planning and nature protection standards of Belarus. 45%. Population 1775 5000, 1858 13700, 1882 3600, 1897 36800, 1913 104,500, 1925 81900, 1931 109,900, 1939 13900, 1943 less than 15000, 1959 168,270, 1965 card, 1970 272,253, 1975 card, 1979 382,785, 1985 card, 1989 500,846, 1992 card, 1999 card, 2006 479,900, 2008 493,700, 2010 484,300, 2011 491,800, 2012 498,075, 2013 505,362, 2014 512,314, 2015 516,976. 2016 521,452. 2018 535,693. The population of the city for January 1, 2020 made 510,300 persons, including economically active population 241,072 persons. In comparison with the last census, 2009, the population increased by 40,000 people. That demonstrates gradual overcoming demographic crisis and existence for the first time since 1993 positive increase in population. The number of the workers occupied in the national economy is 191,019 people, including in the industry -69441 persons. National structure. Belarusians -83.42% of total number, Russian -10.85%, Ukrainians -3.11%. In the total number of the population of 55% women, and 45% men make. As of January 1, 2016 the population of the Gomel City Council, that is actually the city of Gomel, people, and the city settlement of Kostyukopka, 9904 persons. Subordinated to him in the sum made 531,356 persons. For January 1, 2017 the population of Gomel, after inclusion in city boundaries of the item Kostyukopka, made 535,229 people. In 2017 in Gomel was born 5172 and 5003 persons, including 21 children aged till 1 year died. Birth rate coefficient -9.7 on 1,000 people. An average value across the Gomel region -11.3, across Republic of Belarus -10. Mortality rate -9.3 on 1,000 people. An average value across the Gomel region -13, across Republic of Belarus -12. On number been born and died Gomel advances other regional centers. Except Minsk. The birth rate coefficient in Gomel is much lower than in Brest and Grodno. It is a little lower than the level of Minsk, higher than the level of Vitebsk, is equal to the level of Mogilev insignificantly. The mortality rate of the population in Gomel is higher than in Grodno, Brest and Minsk, but below than in Mogilev and Vitebsk. After accession of Gomel to the Russian Empire and creation of the Pale of Settlement, Gomel gradually becomes one of the centers of resettlement of the Jewish population of Russia. According to a census of 1897, Jews, 55% of all population of the city, lived in Gomel. In 1903 in Gomel there took place the Jewish disorder. In 1926 Jews made about 35% of the population of Gomel. According to a census of 1939 the share of Jews made 29.38%. For years of war, a cheap part of the Gomel Jews who weren't in time to be evacuated deep into territories of the USSR was destroyed by the German occupational authorities in the Gomel ghetto. Associated emigration of Jews from Gomel fell on the end of the 1980s, the beginning of the 1998 years. Therefore, the Jewish population of the city in 1999 in comparison with 1979 was reduced by 6.5 times, having made 4029 people. Most of believers of the city, Orthodox Christians, For 2012, 20 Orthodox communities. All Russian Orthodox Church. 2 Old Belief. 1 Russian Orthodox Old Belief Church, the 2nd Pravoslavnaya Church. 3 Roman Catholic Act. Enter the Pinsk Diocese. 2 Jewish communities, Beit Yaakov and Hakov. A synagogue of Rosh Pina on Krasnoarmeyskaya Street, 1A. 1 Muslim. There is no mosque in Gomel. Also there are communities of not liturgical Protestantism. Gomel is the diocesan center of the Gomel and Zlebinsky Diocese of Rock. Bauman Street 16. Here are located street. Nicholas Monastery. Nikolskaya Street. And the Gomel Sacred and Tikvin Monastery. Kotovskago Street 36. The image of the present downtown began to be put in the second half of the 18th century. The main architectural complex forming spatial composition of the downtown is Lenin Square. Former Cathedral, Soviet. From her 3B Sovetskaya Street. The former Chekerskaya, Breakout, Rumiansevsky, Main City Street. Lenin Avenue. Former Castle, Lunacharsky, Komsomol. And Proletarskaya Street. The former Feldmarshalskaya. Disperse. Together with Pobody Avenue. Former the 6th Cross Post. Sovetskaya Street and Lenin Avenue form a triangle in which corners are located Lenin Square, near the station and Revolts. The former Sportivnaya Square. On July 19, 1940 there was a decree of Presidium of the Supreme Council of the Belarusian Sur about formation of urban areas in the city of Gomel. According to him, Gomel was divided into 3 areas. Central, Railway and Novobolitsky. In 1948 they were liquidated, but in 3 years, on June 27, 1951, restored. Sovetski district appeared in 1973. As a result, the city is divided into 4 areas. The central district is located in the central, east and northeast parts of Gomel. The main streets are Sovetskaya Street, the central city street, Lenin Avenue, Makarov Street, International. In central the area 24 industrial enterprises work, the most part of sites and objects of culture of the city, the Gomel Palace and Park Ensemble, the Hunting Lodge, Dramatic Theatre, Circus, Puppet Theatre, Experimental Youth Theatre Studio, the Regional Public Cultural Center and so on is located. Sovetski district is located in a southwest part of Gomel. In the area it is concentrated 1/3 of industrial potential and 37% of the population of the city. The main streets of the area, Rychitsky Avenue extended in the submeridional direction, Barikin Street and October Avenue, in the subwidth direction, Bogdan Khmelnytsky Street. Zeleznodorozhny district is located in a northwest part of Gomel. There are a railway station, bus station, the road to the airport. 35 industrial enterprises making about a half of industrial output of the city work. The main streets, Kosmonavtov Avenue, Sovetskaya Street, Krupskaya, Pobody Avenue. The Novobolitsky area is located, unlike other territory of the city, on the left riverbank Soz, in the southeast part of the city. Glavnaya street of the area Ilyacha Street. Less than 10% of the population of Gomel live. In the middle of the 19th century I represented the city New Belitsa, the district center of the Belitsky county. Representative body of the power of Gomel is the Gomel City Council of Deputies. It consists of 40 people and is elected residents on single-candidate districts. A term of office 4 years. Powers of the City Council remain before opening of the first meeting of City Council of new convocation. From this structure the City Council elects the chairman, his deputies, chairman of the constant commissions which make presidium of the Gomel City Council of Deputies. The chairman of the Gomel City Council is N. Kovalovich. Executive and administrative organ in the territory of Gomel is the Gomel City Executive Committee. The chairman is appointed the president and is approved as deputies of the City Council. Members of the Executive Committee of the City Soviet of People's Deputies are appointed the chairman of the Executive Committee of the City Soviet of People's Deputies in coordination with the Gomel Regional Executive Committee. Since October 13, 2009 on August 27, 2012 Chairman of the Gomel Executive Committee of the City Soviet of People's Deputies is Pyotr Alexievich Kirichenko. Executive and administrative organ in the territory of urban areas. It is carried out by administrations of areas. Their chairmen are appointed the president, deputies, the chairman of the Gomel Executive Committee of the City Soviet of People's Deputies, and Dix the chairman of administration. Annalistic mentions of the city from 1142 to the 16th century are present at forms of Gom, Gomi, Gomi, Gomia, Gomi, Gom, Gom. In the first annalistic mention of 1142 the name Gomi form is recorded. And Obervici at Peryaslavolim fought with Vyasislavem, and the brother of his is Yaslavem, and you give to drink on the Volist, and near Gomiya the Volist to all. The modern form was approved only in the 17th-18th centuries. There are not less than 6 versions of origin of the name of Gomel. One of the most widespread, he was named by a stream Gomik falling into the Sos River at the foot of the hill where the pioneer settlement was founded once. This version is spoken well by numerous analogies in names of the cities of Belarus. Minsk on Menka, Polotsk on Polota, Vitebsk on Viteb. In a Jadronima Gomik. Gomiyu. The first part of the name is based by comparison to geographical terms Jai, Ilum, Kam, the Bur, meaning in the Iranian and some North Caucasian languages, gorge, ravine, hollow. The second part with terms the South Yogas, important river in Finno-Ugric languages. Thus, Komik is the small river flowing in a ravine. The name of a stream Komik can come from the Finnish Holmajoki, fast river. Some researchers see an Old Slavic word in a root chai, the hill, ihilik. The national etymology offers the following explanation. The river Put flowing into Sos cuts a stony bank. Noise of the river breaking through stones is heard in today. This bank and transportation, probably, gave the name to the city. Gomi, the name of a threshold on a putti. From him the name of the town also went. Gomel. Gomi. arose at the end of the first millennium on lands of the East Slavic Union of Tribes of Radomiki. His Detnet settled down on the lands washed by waters of the Sos River and waters of a stream Gomel, from the name of which, presumably, there was a name of the city. The higher right coast of Sos and the deep ravines with steep slopes which cut up it created natural strengthening. Short time the city was the center of the Gomel Principality, then as a part of the Chernihiv Principality. It is for the first time mentioned in the Ipatevsky Chronicle under 1142 as possession of the Chernihiv princes. Gomel was for a while taken by the Smolensk prince Rostislav Mstislavich, however then he was occupied by Izyaslav Davidovich, after whose death in 1161 he passed to the Chernihiv prince Sviatoslav Ogovich, then to his son Olip. Igor Sviatovich, the hero of Tale of Igor's Campaign, was the following owner of Gomel. During this period the city was the strengthened point and the center of the Volist. In the 12th-13th centuries the square of the city makes not less than 40 hectares, and in various crafts are developed. By commercial relations it is connected with the cities of the southern and northern Russia. According to archaeological data the city strongly was damaged during the Tatar-Mongolian invasion in the first half of the 13th century. In 1335 Gomelshchina was annexed by the Prince Olgerd to Grand Duchy of Lithuania. In 1335-1406 I was as a part of destiny of the Prince Patrikyan Eremontovich and his sons. In 1406-1419 Grand Ducal deputies ran the city. In 1419-1435 I belonged to the Prince Svidrigailov. In 1446-1452 Prince Vasily Yaroslavich. In 1452-1483 to the Mashayist Prince Ivan Andreevich. With 1483-1505 to his son Semyon, who turned together with Gomel into citizenship to the Grand Duke Moscow. Gomel on the map of Chernigovo-Seversky lands in the 15th century. From the book by Stefan Kaczynski, Chernigovo-Seversky lands is a part of Lithuania, published in Warsaw in 1936. During the Russian-Lithuanian War of 1500-1503, Lithuania sought to return Gomel and other lands which surrendered to Moscow, however suffered crushing defeat, having lost about 1/3 areas. In 1535 troops of Kiev led by Bayu Radziwill, Tarnovsky and A. Notmira captured Gomel as a result of delivery of the city by the Moscow deputy D. Shepenobylensky. Same year the Grand Duke of Kiev Sigismund Styry based the Gomel Starostvo. Under the peace agreement of 1537 it together with the Volist remained the Lithuanian possession. In 1535-1565 the center of the Gomel Starostvo, since 1565 in the Resika county of the Minsk voivodeship. In 1569 Gomel was a part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. From this point the city became the arena of numerous attacks and battles between Little Russian Cossacks, the Russian troops and troops of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. In 1572 the Gomel Starostvo was received by B. Sapega. At the beginning of the 1578 years the city was taken by Ivan the Terrible's troops, but in 1576 is recaptured by a group under command of the hetman Bayu Radziwill. In 1581 Gomel was attacked by the Russian troops again, and in 1595-1596 is captured by S. Nalivayko's Cossacks.
After the beginning of fight against Orthodoxy, the Orthodox Nikolaev Cathedral was closed in the Lithuanian Principality in Gomel on order of the Uniatsky Archbishop Jehoshaphat Kuntsevich in 1621.
In 1633 the city was besieged by Bulgakov and Yermolin's Cossacks. In 1648 is taken by the Cossack group of Golovatsky. In 1649 Group M. Not women. Subsequently the city sustained several sieges in 1651, but in 1654 was taken by one Zolotarenko's group. He, and then his son, held the city till 1667 and passed to service to the Russian Tsar Alexei Mikhailovich. However, on Andrasovsky truce the city remained as a part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth where M.K. Radziwiłł belonged at first, and then up to entry into structure of the Russian Empire, to Princes Czartoryski. During the Northern War in Gomel there was the Russian army under Anno Domini Menshikov's command. In 1670 Gomel acquired the Magdeburg right. To the middle of the 17th century the city fell into decay. He underwent considerable destructions, number of inhabitants were strongly reduced, many crafts disappeared. Taxes were very high by 1770, zlotys in the Polish treasury and zlotys on winter keeping of army were annually raised from residents of Gomel.
In 1730-1772 the sub-chancellor, and then the Chancellor Lithuanian M.F.
Czartoryski was the owner of Gomel. At his possession of the city the lock was reconstructed in quite powerful fortress. A new wooden wall and oak towers with loopholes is erected, through a ditch drawbridges were thrown. Gomel was a part of the Russian Empire at the first section of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth in 1772, and was confiscated in imperial treasury. In 1775 the Empress Catherine II presented Gomel and the Gomel Starostvo in eternal hereditary possession to the famous Russian commander P.A. Rumyantsev-Zajunaysky, for amusement. In 1779 the Starostvo included 82 villages with yards. Rumyantsev, without wishing presence in the city of district officials, achieved transformation of Gomel into the private ownership town on condition of construction of the new city by him where the district center would be placed. In 1796 the Belarusian province is created. The city became the district city of the Rogachiovsky province. Then, 1802. The province was divided into two, Vitebsk and Mogilev. A considerable part of the Gomel region and Gomel were included in the Mogilev province. At education as a part of the Mogilev province of counties, Gomel was included into the Belitsky county.
His administration temporarily was placed in the town of Belitsa that in 20 came to the northwest of Gomel.
Nowadays the village Old Belitsa of the Gomel district.
Construction of the new district center by Rumyantsev New Belitsa was carried out in 1777-1786 on the left river bank Saws and 3 versts from Gomel.
In 1852 the new owner of Gomel Prince I.F. Oskvich transferred the district center to Gomel with renaming of the county into Gomel, having announced New Belitsa the unimportant town, and then 1854 it was attached to Gomel as the suburb. Nowadays, the Novobelitsky district of Gomel. On the basis of the coat of arms Novobelitsy which is most highly granted to her. 1781. The coat of arms of Gomel. 1856. Was developed. The period of founding of Gomel as a part of the Russian Empire was marked by a rapid growth of the population, city infrastructure, industrial potential. P.A.
Rumyantsev, instead of the wooden lock of Czartoryski in 1785-1793, built the stone palace, which then was repeatedly completed by the subsequent owners of Gomel.
In 1809-1819 on the project of the architect John Clark. I lived and I worked in Gomel in 1800-1826. Peter and Paul Cathedral was built. On November 8, 1819 in Gomel the Russia's first Lancaster school is open. It was constructed on the central street of Gomel on the same John Clark's project. It was the whole complex of buildings. A main building and 4 wings, baths, a barn, stables. With land grounds, a model farm and workshops. This first educational institution of this kind in the Russian Empire. In the city 2 annual fairs began to be held January. Vasilyevskaya. And September. Vozdeyskaya. In the 1840th years to them it was added summer. Troitsks. In December 1796 after P.A. Rumyantsev's Zajunasty's death his son N.P. Rumyantsev became the owner of Gomel. At him in Gomel the first gymnasium. 1797. Kostany Dvor, the glass, tiled, spirit plants, weavers and spinning factories were open, the constant wooden bridge through Soz is built. In 1822 construction of a church was finished. At N.P. Rumyantsev there was also a strengthening of the old belief community, the synagogue, drugstore and almshouse is constructed. In 1793 on the bank of Soz the Alliansky church representing 3 fellings put one on another is constructed. Now it is recognized as a monument of wooden architecture. After N.P. Rumyantsev's death, 1827. The owner of the city became his brother S.P. Rumyantsev. At him Trinity Church and the building of spiritual school were constructed. Because of lack of money S.P. Rumyantsev put Gomel in the state treasury of the Russian Empire. 1827. For 401,100 rubles, and in 1834, without having an opportunity to repay the debt, sold a manor to treasury. The palace part of the city was got from it by the Prince I.F. Poskacherivansky to whom Nicholas I presented. 1838. The rest of the city. At I.F. Poskvich the glass manufactory, sugar plant. 1832. Grease and candle plant. 1840. A Kripodyorka. 1853. Several rope and sawing enterprises, parish 1 great school. In Novabilitsi, 1835. National school were open. 1841. In the middle of the 19th century on 3 Gomel fairs it was annually brought goods more than for 1 million rubles. 39% of a supply and 38% of selling of all goods of the Mogilev province. The Gomel manor of I.F. Poskvich consisted of 8 economia with titles of the earth. The favorable transport geographical location contributed to the development of the transport system and further growth of Gomel as industrial center. In 1850 through Gomel the highway street. Petersburg, Odessa and the Russia's first cable street. Petersburg, Sevastopol line in 1873, the Lubavo-Armensky Railroad. In 1888, the Polisia Railroad ran. For 1854 in the city lived 10.1 thousand population and there were 1219 buildings. The city strongly suffered from the fire of 1856 when 540 houses burned down.
In the middle of the 19th century there was planning city scheme which remained till our time with the composite center, the palace, the park and the central cathedral square with two-story Gostiny Dvor, malls, a Catholic church, a town hall.
2 rectilinear streets Rumiantsevskaya, now Soviet, and Castle, now Lenin Avenue, created a dual-beam planning system. Through Souls the 175,000 bridge acted on rafts. On the left coast there was a bulk dam with 9 wooden bridges. It is destroyed by a spring high water of 1845. On September 25, 1852 Gomel was given the status of the city. It became the center of the county of the Mogilev province. In 1854 the city New Belitsa with 1646 inhabitants was attached to him. 3 brick, 302 wooden houses, 2 wooden churches, 2 Jewish Grafel schools, parish school, Krupinity plant, the mash plant, 4 windmills. In 1857 through the river the arch bridge was built. I.F. Poskvich founded the park which became a unique natural object. Nowadays Gomel Palace and Park Ensemble. Theatre around the palace. After I.F. Poskvich's death in 1856 the manor passed to his son F. 1. Poskvich. At him 3 iron foundries, 2 brickworks, match factory, Vesuvius, are founded, gas lighting of streets began to develop. 1873. And to be paved pavements. Since 1879. In 1857 on a visit to Gomel there came the Emperor Alexander II. Fyodor Ivanovich Poskvich's wife Irina Ivanovna in Gomel founded a shelter for juvenile girls, Society of Relief Aid by the Pupil. 1878. The building of the Gomel Almshouse, a men's classical gymnasium, and eye clinic is built. The princess promoted construction of a water supply system, supported other institutions of education and healthcare. Besides, Irina Ivanovna allocated huge amounts of money from the budget of family for payments of grants to students and salaries to teachers, for full payment of study abroad of the most exceptional children, for financing of orphanages and nursing homes. In 1903 the attention of the whole world was riveted on Gomel in connection with the trial which was taking place there, which considered case of the Gomel disorder, which began on August 29, 1903. Vividly were interested in this process not only in Russia, but also abroad, as open doors of meetings gave the chance of the press to make the history of disorder property of society. This process was of 2 Jews especially burning interested on a dock, along with tyrants and murderers. 36 Jews protecting the life were put. 36 people accused of an akonina on August 29 of the Russian disorder. These summoned attention of the best representatives of the Russian legal profession. In the person of these 36 Jews on a docket was put in public opinion, all Russian Jewry, to which the indictment the caution was kind of allowed not to resort to self-defense. By 1913 Gomel was the large industrial center and totaled 104.5 thousand people of the population. The largest enterprises were mechanical workshops of the Lubova-Rumensky Railroad and Mash Factory, Vesuvius. During World War I in Gomel 8 hospitals and rear economy of the Warsaw Military District, the Gomel Transit Point, front workshops are created. The enterprises evacuated from other cities worked. Tower with the spike top with a star and a laurel wreath. Architecture monument. 1954 of construction. Sovetskaya Street 41. During Civil War by the main events became occupation of Gomel by the German troops. On March 1, 1918. Input to Gomel of troops of the Ukrainian People's Republic, entry of the city into structure of the Ukrainian power as the county of the Chernihiv province and opening of the Ukrainian theater. Spring-summer 1918. Retreat of Germans. Late fall of 1918. Establishment of the Gomel Directory. On December 17, 1918. And city occupation troops of the Red Army. On January 14, 1919. The performance, largest in Gomel, Minds Bolsheviks. There was a short revolt of Strekopitev. March 1919. Insurgents took strategic objects and shot decks of Soviet leadership of the city. Risen were broken by the parts of the Red Army thrown to Gomel. In 1919 Gomel became the center of the created Gomel province of Rusfors. After the end of military operations, recovery of the industry and transport began. In July 1920 they began ship repair workshops. Since 1935 the ship repair plant. In 1921 the Polospechet factory became operational. It is created on the basis of several small printing workshops. In 1922-1924 the Trud factory, a bread baking complex are created. On April 29, 1923 there began work the first turn of city power plant. On November 4, 1928 the movement on the railway line Novobalitsa-Preluki is opened. In 1928 construction of the Gomel mash plant, in 1929 meat processing plant, in 1930 the Gyrocombinet began, in 1929-1932 the woodworking plant is constructed. In 1933 the river port is founded. In 1926 the commission of the Politburo of the Central Committee of the All-Union Communist Party, Bolsheviks, which recognized the Belarusian nature of the population of the province, worked at Gomelshchina, though noted the low level of his consciousness and a negative relationship to a Belarusization. According to earlier made decision on accession to Bs of areas with mainly Belarusian population 18.11. 1926 the Politburo of the All-Union Communist Party, Bolsheviks, of the Central Committee decided to include the Gomel and Resika counties of the Gomel province in structure of Bs. 1. This offer was approved by the integrated plenum of the Gomel Gubkom and City Town Committee of the All-Union Communist Party, Bolsheviks. During industrialization the Komintom factory, the Parovozo car repair plant, the Gomel mash plant, other enterprises is created. By 1940 in the city there were 264 industrial enterprises. On products volume Gomel took the third place in Bs after Minsk and Vitebsk. Its specific weight was 16.6% of the industry of Bs. Teachers and timber institutes, 2 scientific research institutes functioned.
During the Great Patriotic War, the city was occupied by Germany on August 19, 1941. The Jews of Gomel who weren't in time to be evacuated, making 29.38% of the total number of inhabitants before war, were almost completely destroyed in the Gomel ghetto.
The guerrilla and underground movement was developed. The city was freed on November 26, 1943 by troops of the Belarusian front under K. Rokossovsky's command as a result of the Gomel and Resika operation. The city was destroyed more than for 80%, almost all industrial productions are destroyed. From March 21 to March 24 in the city there was a session of the Supreme Council of the Belarusian Sir. After war, rapid restoration of the city began. By 1950 almost all enterprises of pre-war time resumed the work. In 1970 Gomel is awarded the Order de Labor Red Banner. Extensive damage to the city was caused by the Chernobyl accident in 1986. Gomel appeared in a zone of radioactive infection. The ecological situation was aggravated by the deep economic crisis which began in the late 80s. It caused sharp decrease in the standard of living and depopulation during the 90s. In 1991 Gomel became a part of Belarus which declared independence. In the first half of the 1990th years Gomel, as well as all Belarus, was captured by an acute economic crisis. Mortality began to exceed birth rate, volumes of economic production sharply decreased.
Since 1996 gradual revival began.
New objects. The suburban railway station, the ice arena, free rowing bases, the central stadium, the Palace of Game Sports, the Palace of Water Sports, etc. is reconstructed. Are constructed, the main attractions are reconstructed, new trolleybus lines open, monuments to N.P. Armiantsev, Kirill Turovsky, Janka Kupoli are established, new inhabited residential districts are built. In 2011 Gomel was affected by revolution events through social networks. Our first meeting took place on June 8. Already from the next action the militia began to arrest protesters. However, the number of protesters all the same grew. In Gomel the protest action was carried out even on August 17. The state leaders of revolution through social networks announced the suspension of protests, and they passed only in Gomel and didn't stop during a break in other cities of Belarus. However, the number of protesters began to fall, and in October in Gomel revolution meetings through social networks stopped. In 2016 Gomel was affected by protests of individual entrepreneurs. On January 18 and 29 the Gomel businessmen held a meeting at local regional executive committee. Every time of the power conducted with them negotiations, but their requirements weren't fulfilled. On the basis of the decision of the Gomel Regional Council of Deputies from January 26, 2016. About change of borders of the city of Gomel and Gomel district, the structure of city line of Gomel included the city settlement of Kostyukovka.
Protests in Belarus of 2020 in connection with the announcement of results of presidential elections and the statement for Alexander Lukashenko's victory affected Gomel. During the March for Freedom on August 16 by 16 o'clock, not less than 20,000 people gathered in Gomel.
The average monthly nominal charged wage, to a deduction of income tax and some assignments, in 2017 was 773.1 rub, that above an average value across the Gomel region, 722.9 rub, and below average over the country, 822.8 rub.
Gomel takes the 14th place on salary level among 129 areas and the cities of regional submission of Republic of Belarus, and the 3rd place in the Gomel region,
after the Resika and Mazer districts. Among the regional centers, the average salary in Gomel is lower than in Minsk, Brest and Grodno, but above than in Mogilev and Vitebsk. For 2012, by an industrial complex of the city, it is shipped products for 22,065.0 billion rubles. As of the beginning of 2008 in the city, there were 126 industrial enterprises, from them 49, 38.9%. The state form of ownership, 77, 61.1%. Non-state, including 37, 29, 4%. Joint stock companies, 4, 3.2%. Foreign property, 10, 7.9%. The mixed property with foreign participation, 26 other. The largest specific weight in the total production of products is formed. The enterprises of mechanical engineering, 52, minus 51.2%. The enterprises of food and processing industry, 17, minus 17.8%. Chemical industry, minus 13.7%. On production of building materials, minus 8, 7%. Large enterprises of the city.
On Comsel Mash, Rup Gomel plant of casting and normals, Rup Gomel plant of self-propelled combines, Kist Gomel car building plant, Jest Gomel plant of machine nuts, Jest Stanka Gomel, Jest Gomel plant of measuring devices, Jest Gomelski Centrolit foundry, Jest Gomel car repair plant, Jest Gomel on Crystal, Chop Gomelyaboy on Belarus Neft, Jest Seismotechnica on Gomel Steklo, Jest Gomel radio plant.
Ryop Beam, Soa, Gamalkable, Rup, the Gomel plant, Gidroprovod, Chop, Vipra, Keepupsos, Papenels Beltes, Lighting Engineering, Jask Electroparatur, Klump Spetskommuntrans, Tsup, Ired Carnation, Jask Coral, Jask Ratone, Says, Gomel Ratone, Chbeko System, IAP, Chestnut, IPUP, Alkapak, Stitit, Metalopolymer, the Northwestern Administrative District, Santax, Jask Gomel plant of starting engines of K. Ponomarenko, Jest Gomel Motorormanny plant, Jest Gomelski Technopribor. Enters in on the Minsk Electrotechnical plant. Jest Gomel plant of Santek Togutotka, Chup Gomel plant of the trade equipment, Jest Gomel Electrotechnical plant, Jest Gomel Electromechanical plant, Jest Metalokonstrukcji, Chup, Rainbow, Kaidi Mechanician, Suo Gomel Instrument Making Plant, Gomelskoy PM's Unitary Enterprise, Jest Gomeltogavtitrans. Jest Spartak, Jest Gomel Meat Processing Plant, Jest Gomel Fatty Plant, Rup Gomel Alcoholic Beverage Plant, Rup Gomel Klabrom, Jest Gomel Winemaking Plant, Jest Molokny Produkti, Suo Ingman Ice Cream, Jest Gomel Drav, Up, Belosto the Gomel Woodworking Plant, Jest Gomel Furniture Factory Progressive Jest Gomel Stroymateriali, Jest Gomel Chemical Plant, Kist Plant of Chemical Products, Jest Medplast, Rotup Pietrotechnics. Tup Gomel Vodokanal, Avar Up Gomli Obudas, Kist Gomelift, the Rup Bulpot to Gomel Branch, Rup Gomli Enego, Jest Comintern, Jest Gate Marta, Jest Trud, Jest Tetiana. In the Ord, the 2010 years stopped activity in the Gomel bearing plant. The producer of bicycle bearings. The Gomel shipbuilding and ship repair plant. The producer of passenger and cargo motor ships, including on underwater wings. The Gomel car repair plant. The producer of Radsmik buses. The Amalpasuda plants. Santep. Stromatolinia Mirror Factory, chemical products were liquidated. Jest Coral and some other enterprises seriously reduced the outputs. In structure of paid services to the population, services which payment is obligatory prevail. Utilities -24.4%, services of passenger transport -14.1%, housing -5.6%. In Gomel 9 hotels, the largest of which, tourists halls, Gomel, visit, etc. More than 150 restaurants, cafe, bars and other entertaining institutions are located. For 2017 the total area of housing stock of the city increased from 9,065.4 thousand m up to 10,759.9 thousand m. Gain of the area of housing stock for this period, 18.7%, was the smallest of the large cities of Republic of Belarus. In Brest and Grodno for the same period the total area of housing grew more than by 60%. Security of the population with housing in 2000 made 19 m. Only person. The second place among the regional centers after Mogilev. By 2017 grew to 20.1 m. On this indicator the city in 2017 conceded to all large cities of the country. In the first quarter 2019 the average price of the residential real estate in Gomel was $580 for 1 m. On this indicator Gomel was flush with Vitebsk and Mogilev, but twice conceded to Minsk and for 20%, to Brest and Sologorsk. The volume of foreign trade in goods in January, February 2008 was $512.4 million US, including export $367.7 million, import $144.7 million. From the total amount of export 38.5%, including Russia -24.7%, the countries out of the CIS -61.5% fall to the share of the CIS countries. Import of the CIS countries makes 63.9% of all volume of import, including of Russia -51.8% of the countries out of the CIS -36.1%. Main trade partners. The Russian Federation -32.3% of all volume of foreign trade, the Netherlands -21.8%, Germany -17.6%, Ukraine -11.8%, Lithuania -3.4%, Poland -2.2%, Italy -0.9%. Public transport in Gomel is presented by trolleybuses, buses, share taxis. The trolleybus network of Gomel is open on May 20, 1962 and contains 30 routes. Extent of street network with transport lines is about 74 km, and the total length of trolleybus ways -475 km. The rolling stock is presented by Axum -20101, Axum -321 cos and his modifications, MOS -203T and Axum -213. Bus routes -83, with a total length about 700 km. For a number of routes there are express options. The rolling stock, MOS -105, MOS -215, MOS -107, MOS -241, MOS -103, MOS -203, MOS -206, MOS -226 and Radomir buses. 22 lines of share taxis work. The minibuses Ford Transit, the Gazelle, Mercedes-Benz, Peugeot work at lines mainly. Suburban and long-distance bus traffic is made from the Gomel bus station. Gomel is connected by bus routes with all regional centers of the Gomel region and all regional centers of Belarus, except Grodno and Brest, and also with Chernihiv, Kiev, Brnovichi, Novopolotsk, Sologorsk, Moscow, St.
Petersburg, Bryansk, Kursk, Oryol, Novozhkov, Klimovo, Klintsy, Cologne, Karlsruhe, Nikolaev.
Lasts to Koblevo in the summer. Riga. On structure of utilitarian trips it is similar to Minsk, and by bicycle only 1% of labor movements with use of transport is made here. The average distance from the house before work and back in Gomel makes 17.5 kilometers. For comparison, in Minsk it is 22.5 kilometers.
Gomel is connected by railway routes of distant following with many cities of Belarus, Russia and Ukraine.
Long-distance trains from Gomel go to Minsk, Moscow, both through Smolensk and through Bryansk, St. Petersburg, Grodno, Brest, Polotsk, through Vitebsk and Mogilev, Snovsk, Chernihiv, Adler, Mineralny Vody, Kislovodsk. The last three through Voronezh after the conflict in Donbass. Kiev, Kharkiv, Kherson, Zaporizhia. Through Kosko to Murmansk, Karaganda, Arkhangelsk. In 1996 the suburban station close to the station of distant following is put in operation. Suburban railway communication is made within the Gomel region. Terminal stations of trains of the suburban message. Regional lines are Dobrich, Krugovets, Lake of the Item Kutik, Lake of the Item Kraftsotka, Resika, Kalinkovichi, Vasilovichi, Jerks. Electrification of the site of Jerks Gomel began in April 2013. More than 15 organizations of a construction complex of Belarus took part in installation and construction works. An installation of contact network was carried out by 3 specialized organizations. In total about 250 people and 20 units of the construction equipment were involved in works. Operational length of a contact pendant was 172 km, developed -298 km. Ways of the station Gomel, the largest on the Belarusian railroad, were also electrified.
The devices of electrification put into operation allow to organize the movement of all types of the electrolink stock on the side Minsk Gomel with admissible speeds of the movement to 160 km/h. On May 2, 2016 began test operation of the electrified site Gomel, Jerks on Elektrodrift.
June 3, 2016, the Belarusian Railroad opened regular train service on Elektrovozny Draft in the Gomel, Minsk, Gomel direction. On the site, the 7-carriage electric train of the EP inner-regional lines is operated. From 1936 to 1941 in Gomel, the first in B's Children's Railroad worked. It was destroyed during the Great Patriotic War. The international airport, Gomel, in Soviet period daily served hundreds of passengers. Flights were made in the different ends of the USSR. From May 2002 to February 21, 2011 regular flights to Minsk and Kaliningrad were made. Daily, the In-24 plane. In 2005, 2007 and 2018 the message along a route Gomel opened, however several months later it was cancelled because of a low passenger traffic.
Also in 2007 the Latvian airline Air Baltic performed the flights en route Riga-Gomel-Riga.
On January 14, 2008 and this flight was cancelled. The Gomel Avia Company for many years carried out regular, charter and cargo flights. In the spring of 2011 the airline was liquidated because of numerous debts, however the airport still functions to this day. At the moment the Belavia airline makes regular flights Kaliningrad, Gomel, Kaliningrad and also charter flights from Gomel and back to Novobrsk, Nyegen, Khanty-Mansiysk, Hanover and some cities of Italy. From June 1 to September 2018 the Russian airline S Airlines performed flights en route Moscow, Domodedovo Airport, Gomel, Moscow. In Gomel there are 7 higher education institutions. In a year about 35,000 students study, from them 3,000 a year get higher education. The leading higher educational institution of Gomel is the Gomel State University of Francis Scorina. It is created in 1969 on the basis of the Gomel Teacher Training College of 5B. Tokarev prepares scientific, production and pedagogical shots on 25 specialties and 56 specializations. 2006. Of the most various spheres of activity. The Belarusian State University of Transport created in 1953. Earlier, the Belarusian Institute of Engineers of Railway Transport is the only higher education institution of this sort in Belarus. In 1980, on the basis of branch of the Moscow Cooperative Institute, the Gomel Cooperative Institute is open. The Belarusian Trade and Economic University of Consumer Cooperation now. In 1981, on the basis of the Gomel branch of the Belarusian Polytechnical Institute, the Gomel Polytechnical Institute is created. Now the Gomel State Technical University of P.O. Saki. The Chernobyl accident caused opening in 1990 of the Gomel Medical Institute. Nowadays Gomel State Medical University. After obtaining independence of Belarus in Gomel were opened the Gomel branch of the International Institute of Labor and Social Relationship. 1993. And the Gomel Engineering Institute of the Ministry of Emergency Situations of Republic of Belarus. 2003. In Gomel 77 comprehensive schools, including the Gomel City Cadet School, 1 city lyceum, 1 regional lyceum, 18 technical training colleges, 6 colleges, 7 technical schools, the Belarusian Slavic Gymnasium work with it. 1. Malaysia Urininski Gymnasium. In Gomel, 5 scientific research institutes are located. 3 of them are connected with radiation subject. Institutes of the Wood, Mechanics of Metal Polymeric Systems, Radiology, Radiobiologies, Radiation Medicine and Ecology of the Person. In Gomel, a number of specialized hospitals, a part from which is compactly located in the certain residential district, medical campus, is located.
In the medical campus there are a cardiological clinic, an oncological clinic, a skin and venereologic clinic, at the Lancheski Hospital on the station Gomel, the Gomel Center of Microsurgery of an Eye, City Clinical Hospital No.
2, etc. Also in the city, the Gomel Regional Clinical Hospital, Berg, is located. The versatile hospital, including therapeutic, cardiological, surgical offices, maternity hospital, etc., is a part of GOC, also only State Office of Plastic Surgery in the Gomel region. Lunatic City Asylum Number 4, in the former settlement of Kostyukopka.
Tubercular infectious hospitals, Regional Children's Hospital, Hospital of Emergency Medical Service, Hospital of Veterans of the Great Patriotic War, a number of city clinical hospitals, and also the Republican Scientific and Practical Center of Radiation Medicine and Ecology of the Person.
The network of polyclinics includes 16 city polyclinics, 7 children's polyclinics, 7 dental polyclinics and ophthalmologic polyclinic. 4 creative unions, 3 theaters. Regional Dramatic Theater, Puppet Theater, the Gomel City Youth Theater. 4 movie theaters, Philharmonic Hall, Circus, 3 showrooms, branch of the Vitkovsky Museum of Old Belief and the Belarusian Traditions of F.Sh. Shkliarov. Till December 2012, the Vitkovsky State Museum of Folk Art. Some other museums, a monument of architecture of the 18th-19th century Palace and Park Ensemble of Rumyantsev, Paskovichi, College of Arts, Art Gallery, Art School, City Symphonic and Wind Orchestras, 7 nurseries of music schools and schools of arts, 1 choreographic and 1 art schools, a number of the centers and palaces of culture. Goob. Libraries work.
About 20 festivals, including international, are annually held.
A festival of choreographic art, the Sos Round Dance, the Slovak Theatrical Meetings Theatre Festival, Youth Musical, Art Session, the Guitar Renaissance, the Go Fest Rock Festival, Open International Sports Dances Tournaments. Annually on the City Day, the Festival of Theatres of Golf Fire is held. Tens of exhibitions will be organized. Museum of History of the City of Gomel. Museum of Criminalistics. Gomel Regional Museum of Military Glory. Art Gallery of G.H. Vashenko. Museum of the Press and Photo. Museum of History of Formation of Gomelshchina.
Gomel Regional Universal Library of 5.1.
Lenin.
In the city, the Gomel Regional Universal Library of 5.1.
Lenin is located.
In Gomel there is also a Gomel City Centralized Library System. It represents library structure which includes 17 branches located in different districts of the city, including 6 mixed libraries for an even age categories of readers, 5 children's libraries and 6 libraries for adult population.
The Central City Library of A. 1. Person heads a system. The library is founded in 1977.
The Slovak Library was created in 1999 according to the decision of the Gomel Regional Executive Committee on the basis of the former library, the House of Political Education of Regional Committee of Ibedinsep.
Our fund makes more than 30,000 books. Various diplomatic missions had a considerable impact on development of library. Many books to library were presented by Poland, Serbia, Montenegro, Russia, the Czech Republic. The library is the main place in which hold the meetings and conferences Cultural and Educational Society of Kirill Turovsky.
In 2007 the Belarusian Orthodox Church awarded the Order to Library of the Prelate Kirill Turovsky of the 2 degree for diligent work in glory of God's Church.
In the city there are clubs of historical reconstruction of an era of the High Middle Ages, Late Middle Ages. Activity of clubs is supported by an internet forum, the Gomel Historical Forum. Methods of applied history. The Gomel clubs of historical reconstruction of an era of the Middle Ages. As emergence. Stsaiga Sviatoslavcha. Oleg Sviatovich's banner. Year Foundation -1998. Activity, the southern Russian principalities in the 12th-13th centuries. Now exist in the form of the Company of Friends. Continue study historical reconstruction and participate in festivals. Old Veza. Year Foundation -2001. Activity, material culture and cultural wealth of the Sacred Roman Empire of the German nation of the end of 13th, the beginning of the 16th centuries. Holds August nightly pedestrian tournaments. In 2008 the fort has the status closed. Only for participants. A regional event. Freed Mstislav Glebovich. Date of the basis on February 21, 2004. Activity, the city culture of the southern Russian principalities in the 13th century. From Kalka before invasion. I stopped activity in 2012. Club of the Ancient Dance Terdian. Date of the basis on September 17, 2006. Activity, studying of the European dances of an era of the Middle Ages, the Renaissance, etc. Up to the 17th century. Country dances. Morgenstern. Morning Star. Year Foundation -2007. Activity, material culture of Grand Duchy of Lithuania of the 14th, 15th centuries. Since February 2009 carries the name Rolia. Gold links. Year Foundation -2007. Activity, material culture of the Polish Kingdom of the 14th, 16th centuries. In Gomel it is registered or have representative office of 47 Massachusetts media. From them 4 electronic. Array TV Company, Klumps, the Gomel City Radio, Ruparts Broadcasting Company, Gomel, on across the Gomel region. 5 newspapers of the enterprises. The Gomel University, Salmashets, etc. Body of the Gomel Executive Committee of the City Soviet of People's Deputies. The Gomel Sheets. Body of the Gomel Regional Executive Committee. The Gomel Pro. BA. Body of Administration of Sovetski District. The international newspaper Media Polyist, the evening Gomel newspaper, the offices of Republican newspapers. Komsomolskaya Pravda in Belarus, Respublik Zvyaz, the Soviet Belarus, etc. Belong to printed media. Also there is a row advertising, information entertainment newspapers, the news internet portals, strong news, enjoy popularity and unauthoritative source. And Truth Gomel, unauthoritative source. In the territory of Gomel, except Republican TV channels, local TV channels, Narea, and Channel City television channel work. In 2014 in Gomel 46 crimes, more than in other regional centers, except Minsk, were registered. On number of the registered crimes in terms of 100,000 people, 871. Gomel takes the second place among the regional centers, also conceding only to Minsk, 1076.
556 crimes in Gomel belong to the category heavy and especially heavy.
1581 thefts, 207 hooliganisms, 168 robberies were registered. 1381 crimes were committed by ex-convicts, 204 a group of persons. In the city 522 crimes connected with drugs were recorded, is 4 less than in Grodno and 4.5 times less than in Minsk.
In the city 3 institutions of Department of Execution of Punishments of the Ministry of Internal Affairs of Republic of Belarus are located. Corrective Labor Colony No. 4. Ik-4 Women's. Antashkin Street. 4. Pre-trial Detention Center No. 3. Nizhnaya Street. 1. Correctional Facility of Open Type No. 17. Borisenko Street. 13. 2. For all more than 8 century history of sites in Gomel remained a little. A small part belongs to the 17-18 centuries, the main part belongs to the 19-20 century. The majority of monuments of architecture of the 20th century belongs to the 1950th years. The most part is concentrated in the central part of the city. Main attractions: Review Tower, Massachusetts Grave of the Soviet Soldiers, the Gomel Palace and Park Ensemble put at the Count Rumyantsev Nikolai Petrovich, the first owner of the city after the section of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Rumyantsev Palace Paskovichi, Chapel Tomb Paskovichi, the Peter and Paul Cathedral restored in the late 80s. In days of the Soviet power the cathedral was planetarium. 35-meter tower of a review. Type of the former sugar plant of the Prince Postvich. Hunting Lodge. Summer residence Rumyantseva N.P. Winter Garden. Church of Christmas of Blessed Virgin of Maria. Alliansky Old Belief Church. Street. Nicholas Church. Building of the former City Duma. Building of the former Alexandrovsky Gymnasium.
Building of the former Hotel Sava. Monument to Komsomol members. And others. For a survey of the city, the big wheel and a tower of a review located in the park in several hundred meters from a palace complex are popular. Is a relief of Gomel rather flat, there is quite enough height of constructions for a survey of the city. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.